Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. Brother Dawalai back again with another quick lesson. Lord willing, it be pleasing to his ears and it be edifying to those that may come across and hear it. Um, no need to basically tell you of the times that we're in. It should be clear and present. It should be well understood that we're in the times spoken of, both in Daniel and in Revelation, you know. And that time is basically, hey, as the scriptures tells you, be not um, shaken, you know, but we know that though there be, great turmoils happening within the world, that the time is not yet. There's still things that must and will transpire, and that is the MOTB. That is Jacob's trouble. That is a time of trouble such as never has been since the world began. There's a time that's going to come. There's a hour of temptation that must take place. So before I begin, as always, I want to start by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rahachadash. Double honors, as always, to the apostles, elders, bishops, leadership of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the house of David, to the 144,000, to the men on the highways and the byways, risking their lives and freedoms to bring out this gospel, and to the men, women, and children scattered throughout the four corners of the earth of the hopeful elect. To you I say shalom. So as you can see, I have the disclaimer, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. And that also is to reveal prophecy. So, with that out of the way, I was watching this video here, and you can see the title is in it. U.S. troops would be swallowed in Iran. Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson, and this is Katie Halper. I'm not going to run the whole video. I'm going to pick and choose certain segments and kind of run from there and try to see where we can bring some scriptures in and we're willing to be edifying. So the first place I want to get to is about it's about the 5 minute 14 mark, because we all know what the topic is. The topic is Iran and this illegal event that the that the Epstein uh, regime is committing to, to do the ultimate look away, the ultimate misdirection, the ultimate 52 fake out, and they're going to use the whole world to do it. So let's get right into it real quick. Bring out some scriptures, and Lord willing to be edifying.
That Israel is getting heavily pummeled. Lots of damage is being done. Critical things are being hit. Like, for example, after the war crime we did in Israel, I guess, hitting Iran's oil facilities and spreading black poison all over 10 million people. Right after that, Iran struck back and hit Haifa. The port of Eilat is already closed down by the Houthis' intrepid action in the Red Sea. So Haifa is the only really big port still functioning, and it's their oil port.
And it's, man, I don't know. There's really no way to describe Esau, Edom, even when they're trying to be the righteous of their group. But we know what the scripture says. They are the border of wickedness. You know, so when you listen to him, America's crime was hitting the oil field. No mention of what they did first. The first day, the first thing they hit outside of the the Shah, their supreme leader, was a school with hundreds of little girls in it. Children and teachers and people. And when you listen to it, some of the stories, they double tap the place. So when the parents came to try to get their children, and these people could see the heat signatures and everything else, they actually hit it again for maximum lethality. It says, this is Deuteronomy 28 and 49, and it reads, Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. So despite the cover that they've covered themselves with, this cover of compassion, this cover of morality, this cover of nobleness, and man, all of these things that they cover themselves with. But when you pull the cover back, you see that it's a festering, malignant, tumorous, demonic individual standing before you, willing to murder and kill. There's a reason why they changed it from the Department of Defense to the Department of War. There's a reason why all of these people don't talk about nothing but maximum lethality. There's a reason why that's the topic of their conversation. Let me see. Maxi, max, Mulethiddly. I'm probably spelling it wrong. Let's see. Here we go. Maximum lethality meaning. Says maximum lethality refers to the highest possible capacity to cause death, destruction, or in a military context, the total elimination of an enemy force while minimizing friendly casualties. It signifies a shift towards prioritizing raw, overwhelming destructive power and combat effectiveness, often associated with, for example, the modernization of weapons, or in a more controversial sense, the reduction of restrictive rules of engagement. And this is the part that Esau has taken, and he's really taken hold of both of them. Modernization, but the reduction. So now, you can't tell these devils, hey, that's excessive. Hey, that's too much. Hey, don't do that. Hey, you don't kill somebody who you've already, man, damn near, but they're hanging on to parts of a boat. You know what I mean? You don't turn around and double tap these people and call it a fog of war. You know, but this is the mindset of Esau Edom. It's always death and destruction. You know, and he's never changed from times of old till now. You know, he has not shown favor to the weak, to the old, nor to the young. And this is why he's known, hey, for doing what he does. And what did he do? He murders indiscriminately. He kills 80 plus year old people in their home, and he murders children, women, you know, the so called innocent. So let's keep going here. I'm gonna.
So I have no idea what the ramifications of that are because they've shut it down. You can't find out anything about it. All that I know about Israel essentially comes from people who leak it from the region.
March 1st in the wee hours.
And then,
it wasn't too many hours later that we started getting deluge with phone calls from troops from all 5 branches, both in the CONUS and OCONUS, meaning continental United States and overseas. The stories were different, but yet similar, that their supervisors or command chains were showing a very clear degree of euphoria, Katie, glee, and joyousness over the fact that we had engaged in this non-congressionally approved, unprovoked attack. As Larry likes to say, Iran was provoking us just as much as Mickey Mouse was. But they were thrilled because this was clearly showing that we had reached the conclusion shown in their perspective of the end times from the book of Revelation and Armageddon, and that this was all going to serve as a very useful, if you will, accelerant or lubricant to bring this idea of concept of weaponized Jesus back.
So, it's a lot of different things in here, but like I said, I'm picking out a couple that I wanted to touch on, bring some scriptures out in regards to. So now what we have now is this, you have a lot of the upper brass, and even some of the lower ones, but a lot of these, they're thirsty for blood, and I'm gonna get that too since I said it. Oh, y'all bear with me for a minute. And I'll come back to what I have set up. Come on. Hey, this is Ezekiel 35. And I'll start in at 3. And say unto it, Ezekiel 35 and 3. And say unto it, thus saith Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai power. Behold, O Mount Seir. And who is Mount Seir? Well, that's, where Edom dwelt. So essentially it's not talking about to the land, it's talking about the people. That's the same way Israel is a people before it's a place. Hey, it's Mount Seir. It's, hey, it's a people, the people of Esau, Edom. I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am Yahweh, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity. And from the time that we were taken over by Babylon, and you were in the byways and in between, and you burnt down the temple and all of the things that you did to us as we were trying to escape, man, you've always been there in the wings, you know, in the time that their iniquity had an end, shoot. Therefore, as I live, hey, man, hey, when a brother's man, hey, the Most High, therefore, as I live, saith Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai power, I will prepare thee unto blood. You know what I mean? So since you love blood so much, you shed blood everywhere and anywhere, and as you move, you always willing to shed blood. So the Most High is all right. So you like shedding blood, you like you know what I mean, killing and robbing and stealing and hey, says I'm gonna prepare you unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. So the Most High ain't playing with you no more. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth. And I will fill his mountains with his slain men, in the hills and in the valleys, and in all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. And I will make thee perpetual desolation, and thy cities shall not return, and ye shall know that I am Yahweh. So this is what these devils are eagerly and obsessively, preparing to run off to. You know what I mean? Because they're ignorance, because they believe the propaganda and the hype that they've pushed to the whole world. In a minute, you know what I mean, as the calamity comes down upon them, they're going to realize, oh shit, everything that we've been talking was a lie. We inherited lies. You know what I mean? This is Amos 5:18. Because hey, all of these people running around swearing, hey, we're ready for, the second coming, and then they gonna, and the scriptures is clear. This is why, hey, we understand that Christianity is so loosely based on the Bible that they could literally just not even bother picking it up, and they wouldn't miss a beat. But here's what the scripture says about the day of the Lord. This is Amos 5:18, and it reads, "Woe unto you that desire the day of Yahweh. To what end is it for you?" Like, what does it got to do with you? It says the day of Yahweh is darkness and not light, as if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or went into the house and leaned his hand on the wall and a serpent bit him. Shall not the day of Yahweh be darkness and not light, even very dark, and no brightness in it? So, hey, the day of the Lord is not going to come as this festive occasion for these people, man. And yet they're scrambling so hard to try to bring it about because they think that they have some victory in the day of the Lord. But the day of the Lord is their ultimate defeat. It's their ultimate demise. The day of the Lord is the day that they are finally taken down. And when the dust clears and the smoke settles, the rest of them are going into hell, into a state of utter hell. The same way Jacob, the Israelites, are in hell today. Is man, and the scripture says double unto her. So man, hey, and the hell that we've faced since this devil has been in charge, only the Most High knows. Only Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai knows. Again, this is Isaiah 13:9, and it reads, "Behold, the day of Yahweh cometh, cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in its going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. Man, and right here, who is that referring to? Esau, Edom. Who's the most proud? Who's the most terrible? Who bombs intentionally little kids, women? Esau, Edom, Amalek. Amalek is known for shooting little kids right now today in Gaza, literally targeting them intentionally. And they are amongst the most proud, because Amalek makes man, hey, the scriptures tells you that, hey, this Edomite over here is more stout than his fellows, and he puffeth at them. And Amalek puffeth at him, you know. Amalek directs traffic over here. Let's keep going. We're close to where I want to pick up.
And Christian nationalists are promised a 200-mile-long river. I kid you not, 4.5 feet deep, filled with nothing but the human blood of those that their version of ferocious Jesus has slaughtered at the Battle of Armageddon. We had 110 clients at 30 installations.
And see, man, let me get that. Because these people really have no clue, no no concept on that which is coming. You know what I mean? And they think that they're gonna run out to meet the Messiah. And honestly, what they don't realize is that they're the multitude going to be used to attempt to fight the Messiah. It says, 2nd Ezra 13. I'll start at man. Start at Yep. We'll start at 5, and it reads, "And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue that man, to subdue the man that came out of the sea." And the space is considered as, the sea as well, the waters, you know. So, hey, the man that comes out of the heavens. So, you know what I mean? And who is that man? That man is Yahweh Shai, you know. And it says, verse 6, and this is whom these generals and these 4 stars and all of these, men that are these Christians are considering that they're running out for what they think is their great victory dance. They're great, but what in reality is they're going to realize that they're the ops, that they've always been the ones in opposition, that they've always been, and I tell you now that there are many antichrists, that they've always been the anti-Hamashiach. They've never been on his page, and he ain't fixing to get on their page. You know what I mean? Whatever it is that page may be. But it says again, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the 4 winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew up upon it. Like, man, a chariot. But I would have seen the region or place whereout the heel was graven, and I could not. So we understand that chariot is, man, it makes enormous small. You know what I mean? That chariot, the magnitude of it, you're not going to be able to see where it ends and where it begins. It's going to blot out everything that you can see. It says, but I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which are gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. So he gonna put it on their spirits. Bring your punk ass on. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, as it had been, a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempest. And what we understand, hey, Christians, boy, but hey, this is the chariot, The chariot's going to open up all armaments. And they were all mixed together. The blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which were prepared to fight, and burnt them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. So this great multitude of men that are anxiously waiting upon the day of the Lord, anxiously calling upon Armageddon, they have no clue, because they've been deceived by these false prophets, by these imitation preach, by all of this madness that they willingly indoctrinated themselves with to further their white supremacy. But they're going to find out that everything that they have been taught has been a lie.
Until the story went viral, we went out to with a journalist named Jonathan Larson on Monday, and then it went viral. And then all we're saying now is that we have in excess of 200 clients and in excess of 50 installations. As Larry knows, he's been with us as a wonderful advisory member for many years.
And so this is basically going on all throughout, all for the controversies of Zion. So we know that everything that's coming upon this earth, that the Most High, the judgment that He's bringing, is for the controversy of Zion, for what you did to His people, for what you continue to do, for how you boldly and proudly claim that His people are no longer His people, but now you are His people, that His people are done away with. That now it's no longer Yasharallah, but it's a spiritual Israel. You know what I mean? It's the so-called tiny tops over there. They're the people of the Lord. This man malfeasance that you people have done. This is Habakkuk 2 and 2, and it reads, "And Yahweh answered me and said, Write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry." It says, verse 4, "Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith." So, hey, anyone who is eagerly running off to commit bloodshed, running off to want to go try to push something, that's that Judas Iscariot mentality, to try to force the hand of the Most High. So these people think that they're going to force the hand. But only thing they're forcing is their demise, is their destruction. That's the only thing that they're doing.
Whenever in the past, since past is prologue, Katie, whenever we've seen a extremist version of any religious faith, particularly extremist Christianity, joined at the hip with that part of the state that engages in war, we do not end up with little babbling brooks, streams, or ponds or lakes. We end up with oceans and oceans of blood, and that's why we are fighting. We've taken this to the court of public opinion nationally and internationally, and that's why we're so pleased to be on your podcast today.
Of course, yeah. Thank you for joining. And something that's fascinating, and then I'm going to turn to you, Colonel, and find out.
Hey, what he thinks is just going to be, little rivers of blood. Hey, well, let me tell you, it's going to be more than just little rivers of blood. When the time comes, when the Most High decides that this is the time that He deems that it shall be, it says, Revelations 14, and right to it, verse 20, "And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horse's bridle, by the space of 1,600 furlongs." So you're going to get what you want, Esau. You're going to get what you're asking for. Be careful what you ask for. You just might get it.
Out since Mikey teased it.
Trump's fury. It is God's fury. And we are headed for the end time. And you and Christians of similar mind. And so I started watching a guy by the name of John Hagee from Texas, who's a preacher, head of the Citizens United for Israel. And I found out that we even had senators and congressmen and others going to Kufi meetings. And so I decided I would check up on that. And I was stunned when I found out the things that John Hagee was saying. And if you want to Google him right now, you can find him saying them right now. He goes up on the stage and he says, epic fury. It is not Trump's fury. It is God's fury. And we are headed for the end time. And you need to be there. That's essentially what he's saying now.
He also says that Hitler was sent by God.
Yes. And I'll tell you another thing I found out about him. He was sending hundreds of millions of dollars that he was raising to settlers on the West Bank and elsewhere in East Jerusalem, for example. He's helping them do what they do. And you got to ask yourself, and Max Blumenthal, for example, did ask him this in a confrontation on camera. What do you say in your book about the unbelievers at the end times? Well, they'll all be slain, he answers.
Yes.
What about the Jews? And he's without words. He's without words.
Well, if he actually was a true man of the Most High, if he was actually, honest, well, he would have some answers. You know what I mean? He wouldn't be stumped when asked the question, "What about the Jews?" But since for him, they're the imposters. Well, he really has no answers. But let's see what the scripture says about the Jews. And more clearly the Israelites, because the so-called Jews and a Jew, which is a short form for Judah, which is a English way of saying Yahweh. You know what I mean? And then you have the something like pertaining to, but not that, when you add the ISH on the end of it. You know what I mean? But when it comes to the Israelites, you started Romans 11, and I'll start at 26, and it reads, "For I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, lest ye should be wise in your own consent, that blindness in part is happened to Israel, until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in." And why would that be said at this stage? Because Israel was already scattered. Israel was already in multiple captivities, and prior to the Romans were the Greeks. And the Greeks barred people from their heritage by threat of death to practice the law of their heritage, to circumcise, to do anything that remotely resembled your heritage. So what did they do? They became Greeks. They became Hellenized. They practiced Greekish customs. They worship Greek gods, and they participated in Greek festivities. So when they were told that, no, you are the Israelites, they were basically Israelites in Gentile states of mind. Thus, those were the Gentiles. Thus, in this modern time, as we wake up to who we are, we would have been considered the Gentiles until we came out of that mindset, that Americanized mindset, that British mindset, that African mindset, that Japhetic mindset, all of these nations that we're a part of, you know. So as the Most High calls upon his elect of the elect, this is the time that we're waiting upon. And it says, and so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written, there shall come out of Zion a deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. So you always got to love those as it is written, because Christians, they ain't about no Old Testament done away with. So why in the New Testament is it always repeating as it is written? Because it's always, man, it's the entire book, and this is why you Christians are ready to run off to a battle that you think is in your favor. If you really only knew. Isaiah 59:20, and the Redeemer shall come to Zion, and unto them that turn from transgression in Jacob, saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. For as for me, this is my covenant with them. Who? Jacob, Zion, to Zion, monument, Israel. My spirit that is upon me, and my words which I have put in thy mouth shall not depart out of thy mouth, nor out of the mouth of thy seed, nor out of the mouth of thy seed's seed, saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, from henceforth and forever. And this is why, even in the midst of all the cruelty that we've succumbed to, of all of the humiliation, of all of the beat downs, Jake has always been the most spiritual. This is why you devils, you know what I mean? When the so-called tiny tops were done dirty, they wanted revenge and retribution and complete annihilation to all that had done them dirty. But when Jake is done dirty, what does Jake do? Jake want to save the ones that done him dirty. Jake always, if the white man can't be, I don't want him. You don't want to stay the white man. That's Jake. Because he's got that damn spirit in him that, you know what I mean? He has to show love to his persecutor, but not to his own people, The scriptures is clear that neighbor that is speaking of is your own people, man. When your own people do you dirty, not the rest of these damn heathens. But again, the Redeemer shall come to Zion, not to the world, man, not to the whole world, because these people, these people that are in the land, these people that are calling themselves something, hey, the world knows. It's becoming more and more and more clear. You know what I mean? This is Zechariah 9:6, and it reads, and a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistine. So we know that land is to be divided. We know that land is, you know what I mean? And that's the, man, you have two people, the so-called Palestinian and the so-called Jewish, you know what I mean? Fighting over something that doesn't belong to neither one of them. This is Revelations 2:9. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. You know, and that, hey, back then, again, it was speaking about, the wicked of our people. And today, it's speaking of those who are basically claiming to be something that they're not. And the wickedness that goes along with these people. The evil, the pure, unadulterated, uncut evil that comes along with Amalek and the things that he does, while putting his identity on everybody but himself, running from it. Running from it. Let's one more. Should be right about there on it too.
And then later, Max gets him on camera again, including a congressman by the name of Tom DeLay, called the Hammer from Texas. If you remember him. Yep. And he says, what'll happen? And the congressman looks at him and says, well, they'll all convert.
Right. Now.
Yeah. So, and it's just touching on this thing, man, a little bit, because all of these people, they think they know something. They think they got something. They think they're, doing something. But in actuality, they're just, on that slippery path, the slippery path that they've been put on. And it's all leading to their, destruction. And their basic, their punishment. Because you don't get to just, go out of this world unscathed, untouched. Do everything that you've done to the apple of the Most High's eye, and then walk away scot-free. No, 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 no. So, again, hey, this is Jeremiah 50 and 22. Man, I want to get the rest of that. Man, hey, verse 19. And I will bring Israel again to his habitation, and he shall feed on Carmel and Bashan, and his soul shall be satisfied upon Mount Ephraim and Gilead. In those days and in that time, saith Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, the iniquities of Israel shall be sought for, and there shall be none, and the sins of Judah, and they shall not be found. For I will pardon them whom I reserve. Go up against the land of Merathaim, even against it, and against the inhabitant of Pekod, waste and utterly destroy after them, saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, and do according to all that I have commanded thee. A sound of battle is in the land, and of great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Man. So I'm going to close it on that. How has Babylon become a desolation? How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? So with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Raha Kodash, and double honors to the apostles, elders, bishops, leadership of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the men that are on the highways and the byways, risking their lives and freedoms